A strong hold over current affairs is your way to succeed in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Brace yourself and get detailed coverage of relevant news both nationally and internationally. With the monthly current affairs revision program starting from 26th October at 5 p.m. Enroll today and elevate your current affairs knowledge with comprehensive coverage of current affairs compiled through relevant sources such as the Hindu Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB Yojana, and others. Expert support and personalized mentoring. Comprehensive assessment through MCQs and mains-oriented questions.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Just transitions must reflect climate justice. India at COP29. Department of Biotechnology and Biotechnology Research and Innovation Council introduces One Day, One Genome initiative. Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence reviews Indian Coast Guard's role in coastal security. Jeddah commitments adopted at 4th Global High-Level Ministerial Conference on Antimicrobial Resistance. Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve notified as 56th Tiger Reserve of India. Periodic Labour Force Survey data shows improved women employment indicators over last 6 years. At COP29, India has once again taken a firm stand on the global stage, emphasizing the critical need for just transitions to reflect climate justice. Speaking during the second annual high-level ministerial roundtable on just transitions, India underscored the need for global climate justice and equitable action. So, what are just transitions? It is broadly defined as ensuring that no one is left or pushed behind in the transition to low-carbon and environmentally sustainable economies and societies. This approach is essential for addressing key priorities such as climate change mitigation, which requires switching to low-carbon energy to limit global warming. It also aligns with global commitments, helping India meet its nationally determined contributions or NDCs, and the Panchamitra Pledge, while enhancing energy security by reducing reliance on fossil fuel imports. However, achieving just transitions comes with its own set of challenges. One significant hurdle is determining the cost of a just energy transition, as there is no standardized global method to calculate this. Intellectual property rights or IPR on green technologies also hinder access for developing nations. Furthermore, ethical dilemmas around equity, responsibility, and justice, whether environmental or economic, add to the complexity. Additionally, limited domestic financial resources and the potential for heightened economic vulnerabilities pose further obstacles. To overcome these challenges, several steps are being proposed. These include unrestricted technology transfer, ensuring equitable public climate finance from developed countries, and fostering international cooperation and trust in climate action. India has also suggested establishing a national just transition body to independently monitor progress and ensure fairness in the transition process. India is already taking significant steps to support just transitions. The PLI scheme promotes the manufacturing of high-efficiency solar PV modules, building a robust domestic ecosystem. Sovereign green bonds aim to reduce carbon intensity, while the National Clean Energy Fund or NCEF finances clean energy ventures using revenue from a coal cess. Additionally, the Green Term Ahead market has been launched to facilitate the sale of renewable energy through exchanges. To conclude, India's call for equitable and inclusive climate action at COP29 highlights the critical need to address both global and domestic challenges in achieving a just transition. As the world moves towards sustainability, ensuring fairness and justice will remain a cornerstone of this journey. In a groundbreaking move towards advancing genomic science, the Department of Biotechnology and the Biotechnology Research and Innovation Council have launched an ambitious initiative titled One Day, One Genome. This initiative aims to publicly release a fully annotated bacteriological genome every day. It is designed to enhance scientific knowledge, drive innovation, and make microbial genomics data accessible to researchers and the wider community. Now, let's first understand what a genome is and what genome sequencing entails. A genome is the complete set of genetic material, whether deoxyribonic acid, DNA, or ribonucleic acid, RNA, that contains an organism's entire hereditary information. This information is composed of unique nucleotide-based sequences. Genome sequencing, on the other hand, is the process of determining the exact order of these nucleotide bases. These include adenine, A, cytosine, C, guanine, G, and thymine, T, in DNA, and uracil, U, in RNA. But why is genome sequencing important? Let's explore its applications. It aids in disease detection, helping evaluate rare disorders like cystic fibrosis and thalassemia, and preconditions for various diseases. In pharmacogenomics, it evaluates the effectiveness and safety of drugs based on an individual's genome sequence. Through metagenomic sequencing, scientists can study the collective genomes of multiple species in an environment, enabling rapid species identification and impact analysis. In agriculture, genome sequencing identifies genetic markers for disease resistance and drought tolerance in crops. It also reduces the time required to develop new crop varieties and helps decode host-pathogen relationships. For microbial sequencing, it supports innovations in biofuel development, diagnostic tools, vaccines, and environmental cleanup techniques. Microbes themselves hold immense significance in various fields. Environmentally, they play a critical role in biogeochemical cycles and soil formation. For instance, algae produce food using sunlight and release oxygen into the atmosphere. In the human body, microbes are essential for digestion, immunity, and even mental health. On the household front, microbes like lactic acid bacteria or LAB are crucial for food fermentation, aiding the development of flavors, foods, and beverages. Industrially, baker's yeast is a key ingredient in making bread and alcoholic beverages like beer. Other uses include biofuel production, sewage treatment, and more. Clearly, the One Day, One Genome initiative is a step forward in revolutionizing our understanding of microbes, unlocking their potential, and ensuring that the benefits of genome research are accessible to all.
Moving on to the latest update on India's coastal security. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence recently reviewed the role of the Indian Coast Guard or ICG in enhancing coastal security. During the review, the ICG provided a comprehensive overview of its operational capabilities, strategic initiatives, and its preparedness to address the nation's coastal security challenges. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the security concerns facing India's coastline. First, there is the persistent threat of terrorist maritime infiltration. The risk of sea-based terrorist attacks remains high, and incidents like the 2008 Mumbai attacks are a stark reminder of the vulnerability of our coastal borders. In addition, maritime trafficking risks continue to rise, with the smuggling of gold, luxury items, drugs, and the potential use of maritime routes for illegal trade. On top of that, there are concerns about the security of industrial and strategic infrastructure. India's coastline is home to numerous special economic zones or SEZs, critical oil and gas infrastructure like refineries, offshore platforms, and 13 major ports that handle over 90% of the country's maritime trade. The risk of damage to strategic installations is also significant. Vital naval commands, including those in Visakhapatnam, Mumbai, Kochi, and Port Blair, are vulnerable. Furthermore, nuclear power plants at Tarapur, Kundankulam, and Kalpakkam could also be at risk. Apart from these threats, there are other challenges such as poor coordination among agencies, illegal fishing, marine pollution, and vulnerability to natural disasters. So, what steps are being taken by the government to strengthen coastal security? One of the key initiatives is the National Committee for Strengthening Maritime and Coastal Security, or NCS-MCS, which serves as a national forum for reviewing maritime and coastal security. In addition, the National Command Control Communications and Intelligence System or NC3I has been enhanced for better surveillance and coordination. To boost maritime domain awareness or MDA, the government has made significant improvements through the Coastal Surveillance Network or CSN, which includes radars, sensors, and the Automatic Identification System or AIS for real-time tracking. As for procedural initiatives, the government has launched programs such as the Sagar Initiative, Sea Vigil Exercise, and the Coastal Security Scheme to further strengthen security measures. The Indian Coast Guard, headquartered in Delhi, operates under the Ministry of Defence and was established through the Coast Guard Act of 1978. The ICG's core objective is to safeguard India's vast 11,098-kilometer coastline and ensure the security of vital maritime trade routes. Its primary functions include protecting offshore installations, assisting fishermen, preserving the marine environment, preventing pollution, supporting anti-smuggling operations, and enforcing maritime laws. This comprehensive approach is crucial to ensuring India's security on the seas and safeguarding its vital maritime interests.
In a significant step towards combating antimicrobial resistance or AMR, the 4th Global High-Level Ministerial Conference on AMR has adopted the Jeddah Commitments, a comprehensive framework to address this global health challenge. Let's break down what the Jeddah Commitments entail. The framework promotes a One Health approach, creating an identified and unified approach which seeks to balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems in a sustainable manner. The commitments aim to translate the political declarations from the UNGA's high-level meeting on AMR into actionable and urgent measures. But what exactly is antimicrobial resistance or AMR? AMR occurs when germs like bacteria, viruses, and other microbes develop resistance to the drugs designed to kill them, making infections harder to treat. Key highlights of the Jeddah Commitments include establishing a One Health AMR learning hub to share best practices and enhance capabilities for implementing multi-sectoral national action plans or NAPs on AMR, setting up an independent panel for evidence on action against AMR by 2025 to avoid duplication of efforts, creating a national AMR coordinating mechanism to ensure sustainable financing and effective monitoring of NAPs, promoting global data sharing through platforms like Glass AMR AMC, Animuse, and Infarm, ensuring adherence to the Codex Alimentarius Commission guidelines for the prudent and responsible use of antimicrobials, supporting the quadripartite organizations such as FAO, WHO, WOAH, and UNEP to achieve the 2030 goals outlined in the UNGA Political Declaration on AMR. The commitments emphasize collaborative action, but what global initiatives are already in place to combat AMR? Globally, initiatives such as the Global Antimicrobial Resistance and Use Surveillance System or GLASS, REACT, Action on Antibiotic Resistance, and the Global Action Plan on the AMR are actively addressing this challenge. India too has been making significant contributions to the global fight against AMR. The National Programme on AMR Containment, introduced under the 12th Five-Year Plan, the Red Line Campaign, and the National AMR Surveillance Network of State Medical College Labs, or NARS-NET. To conclude, the Jeddah Commitments provide a crucial framework for unified and urgent action against AMR. This global health challenge demands attention from all sectors to ensure a sustainable and effective response.
In a major development for wildlife conservation, the Chhattisgarh government has officially notified the Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve as the 56th tiger reserve in India. This decision comes on the advice of the National Tiger Conservation Authority or NTCA. With this new notification, Chhattisgarh now boasts 4 tiger reserves, including Indravati, Udanti Sitanadi, and Achanakvar. The Tiger Reserve designation is notified by state governments under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 on the recommendations of the NTCA. The Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve is significant for several reasons. Notably, it is the third largest tiger reserve in India, following the Nagarjuna Sagar Sri Shailam Tiger Reserve in Andhra Pradesh and the Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam. A tiger reserve is classified into two main areas: a core or critical area, which is required to be kept inviolate without affecting the rights of the scheduled tribes or other such forest dwellers as per the Forest Rights Act 2006, and buffer peripheral area to promote human-wildlife coexistence with lesser protection. It recognizes local rights determined through Gram Sabha. Now, let's take a closer look at the geography and wildlife of the Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve. Located in the Chota Nagpur Plateau and partly in the Baghelkhand Plateau, the reserve is home to a wide variety of wildlife, including leopards, hyenas, jackals, wolves, and sloth bears. The reserve is also crisscrossed by major rivers such as the Hasdeo, Gopat, and Baranga. The reserve follows a landscape approach to conservation as outlined in the National Wildlife Action Plan 2017-2031. It is strategically connected to the Sanjay Dubri Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh and also linked with the Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh and the Palamu Tiger Reserve in Jharkhand. The landscape approach is crucial to tiger conservation, as it views protected areas not in isolation but as interconnected populations known as metapopulations. This approach helps maintain habitat connectivity, facilitates gene flow, reduces inbreeding depression, and helps avoid the need for costly translocations. In conclusion, the Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve is a vital addition to India's tiger conservation efforts, offering both ecological and geographical advantages to ensure a viable future for the species. Moving on to the last news for the day, the latest data from the Periodic Labour Force Survey or PLFS conducted by the Ministry of Statistics and Programme Implementation reveals significant improvements in women's employment indicators over the past 6 years. The PLFS, which has been tracking key employment and unemployment trends since 2017-18, shows encouraging signs of progress for women in the workforce. Now, let's look at the key indicators used in PLFS. Worker Population Ratio or WPR refers to the percentage of employed persons in the population. Labor Force Participation Rate or LFPR, meaning the percentage of persons in labor force that is working or seeking or available for work in the population. And Unemployment Rate or UR, referring to the percentage of persons unemployed among persons in the labor force. Moving ahead to the key trends in female labor force participation. Between 2017-18 and 2023 and 24, the worker population ratio for women has seen a remarkable increase, doubling from 22% in 2017-18 to 40% in 2023-2024. Similarly, the labor force participation rate for women has also risen from around 23% to approximately 41% during the same period. Moreover, the unemployment rate for women has reduced significantly from around 5.6% to 3.2%, indicating improved job security and stability. Looking closer at rural women, there's been a sharp rise in LFPR in rural areas. The participation rate for women in rural areas increased by a notable 23 percentage points, from around 25% in 2017-18 to nearly 48% in 2023-24. Another key trend is the growing presence of educated women in the workforce. The proportion of women with postgraduate qualifications and above has risen from 35% in 2017-18 to 40% in 2023-24. In addition, female self-employed workers have seen steady growth in earnings. However, barriers to further growth in women's labor force participation remain. Social factors such as childcare responsibilities and personal commitments, alongside fertility rates and the age of marriage, continue to pose challenges. Economic barriers like limited employment opportunities and the impact of household income on women's participation also play a role. Educational barriers, particularly continuing focus on higher qualifications and infrastructure issues, especially in rural areas, further complicate matters. To support greater women's participation in the labor force, the government has introduced several initiatives. Legislative actions like the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act of 2017 and the Equal Remuneration Act of 1976 have aimed to protect women's rights at work. Additionally, schemes like Skill India, Stand Up India, and the National Rural Livelihood Mission are promoting women's employment and economic empowerment. In conclusion, while progress is evident, there's still work to be done to fully realize the potential of women in the labor force. The government's efforts, along with societal and economic reforms, will be key to overcoming existing barriers. In today's Personality in News, we turn our attention to Lala Lajpat Rai, also known as Punjab Kesari, remembered on his 96th death anniversary today. Born on 28 January 1865 in Dhurike, Punjab, Lajpat Rai was a prominent lawyer and freedom fighter. He co-founded the Hisar Bar Council and was part of the famous Lal Bal Pal trio alongside Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal. Lajpat Rai was a strong advocate of education and nationalism. He founded the journal The People and contributed to the Tribune newspaper. He also authored several books, including biographies of Mazzini, Garibaldi, Shivaji, and Swami Dayanand. He helped Mahatma Hansraj establish nationalistic Dayananda Anglo-Vedic School in Lahore. He founded Servants of the People Society in 1921 and Indian Home Rule League of America. He was elected president of the Indian National Congress in the Calcutta Special Session of 1920. When the Simon Commission visited Lahore on 30th October 1928, he led a non-violent march in protest against it. He died of severe head injuries he sustained due to police lathi. Lala Lajpat Rai is remembered for his values of honesty, spirit of independence, virtues of charity, and devotion.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Senior IAS officer K. Sanjay Murthy has been appointed as the next Controller and Auditor General (CAG) of India. The position of CAG is governed by Article 148 of the Indian Constitution. The appointment is made by the President of India through a warrant under his hand and seal. The salary and service conditions of the CAG are determined by Parliament through legislation and are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India (CFI) to ensure independence. Recently, Supreme Court issued a notice to Ministry of Finance highlighting critical vacancies in debt recovery tribunals or DRTs across India. Currently, nearly one-third of the 39 DRTs in the country are non-functional. Debt recovery tribunals are statutory judicial bodies established under the Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act (RDB Act 1993), having original jurisdiction. India has been ranked 23rd on the Sustainable Trade Index 2024. Sustainable Trade Index was created in 2022 by IMD World Competitiveness Center and the Heinrich Foundation. It evaluates readiness of 30 economies for global trade, promoting growth, environmental protection, and societal development across three key pillars: economic, environmental, and societal. Recently, Grievance Redressal Assessment and Index or GRAI 2023 has been released by Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances or DARPG. GRAI was conceptualized by DARPG based on recommendation of Parliamentary Standing Committee of Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Its primary objective is to highlight strengths and areas of improvement regarding grievance redressal mechanism of various organizations. DIPAM has issued revised capital restructuring norms for CPSECs. Under these guidelines, financial sector CPSEs such as NBFCs are required to pay a minimum annual dividend of either 30% of their net profit or 4% of their net worth, whichever is higher. The guidelines, however, do not apply to public sector banks, public sector insurance companies, or body corporates. Miners have extracted gold and other metals from discarded electronics using bioleaching. This method involves using biological processes, particularly microorganisms, to extract metals such as copper and gold from minerals and waste materials. The microorganisms involved include heterotrophic bacteria, Pseudomonas species, and Bacillus species. autotrophic bacteria like Theobacillus species, and heterotrophic fungi such as Aspergillus species, Penicillium species. Recently, SpaceX's Falcon 9 successfully deployed India's geostationary satellite 20 or GSAT-20 into orbit. GSAT-20 is a communication satellite developed by New Space India Limited or NSIL, the commercial arm of the Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO. Key features of the satellite include its placement in a geosynchronous transfer orbit, a 14-year lifespan, and a mass of approximately 4,700 kilograms. Recently, excavations began at Ramgram, led by Archaeological Survey of India (ASI), to uncover Buddha's 8th relic. Buddha's relics refer to the cremated remains of Lord Buddha. Stupas were built over these relics at several locations, including Rajgarh, Vaishali, Kapilavastu, Alkappa, Ramgram, Bethadipa, Pava, Kushinagar. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.